Namaste and welcome to this exciting new show of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. An opposite of that is mythology, which is science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. Understand that mythology, the connotation is ancient history without proof, and it destroys your identity. And that's what has been preached so long through the academic circles. While Sattology means builds your strong identity because it is a study of truth or science of truth.
Mhm.
So I have a very special guest today and my old friend, and but he is very active in local politics here. So let us welcome Hector Gastelum.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Hector. Throughout the mainstream media everywhere, people talk about problems, and already the stress factor is highest in the society today. And but nobody talks about real solutions. No permanent solutions. All bandages, one after the other. So, according to you, what are the real problems like which we face today on a day-to-day basis?
You know, for me, the most important institution is the family, and when you have uh, kids being born out of wedlock or growing up without a father, as we approach Father's Day, right? That becomes the root almost of all problems. When you have broken families, that generates all the problems. When you look at, for example, on Mother's Day, so much mail goes out from the jails to the moms, but on Father's Day, almost nothing. That tells you the root of the problem is, I think, the breaking down of the family, and from that, everything, all the problems happen.
Absolutely. I think that is a root cause, and because the family institution has been partly undermined, and
Yes.
uh, and somehow we all see that others want to dictate what a family should look like or what a family framework should be, generally. So,
Mhm.
so coming to this, you put up a like a ballpark. You put a ballpark right there. Uh, so when we talk about the reasons for family breakdown, because see earlier we used to have joint families with uncles, aunts, grandfathers, children, all living together, and it is still a I'm in the Southern California and South California, South San Diego, and I see that just across the border, if you go, people are happy. May not have all kinds of resources which Americans enjoy, but they're happy because they have large families. Support group is very large, and so what are the real reasons of breaking down of the joint family or the large family structures right now?
One of the things that I see here in America, I grew up in Mexico, and I agree 100%. You may not have all the resources, but you have all your uncles, you have your extended family. Here, I feel like there's a perverse incentive for women to marry the government as opposed to the father of the children. And the more children, the more money they received. For me, that's how I became a conservative. When I was a bank teller at Bank of America, I would cash checks for women who were using their welfare checks. And I'm like, this checks were more than I made for working. And when you have that incentive for women to marry the government as opposed to their husband or the father of their children, uh, it breaks down the family. I lost my father when I was 14, but I had my grandpa who stepped up. I have uncles who stepped up, teachers who stepped up, and it's the family nucleus for me that remained intact in a way that kept us on the right path.
Don't you think that someplace down the line, if you go back to the history, I'm a student of history and I've written many books on that, and you obviously observe history very closely. If you look at the history of Europe, purposely the family structure was broken down so that people marry the church instead of themselves. Purposely, it was broken down. If you look at the Mexican old history, the Incas and the Mayans and the Aztecs, uh, it was a very prosperous nation, ancient wise, very prosperous nation. In fact, there's a recorded history of 60,000 tons of gold being shipped to Spain from Mexico. 60,000 tons. It's not ordinary. The US Treasury is far lower than that today. So
Mhm.
so the ancient cultures, they promoted a large family structure for many reasons. Agricultural based economy, which is a scientific economy because you are connected with the land, and breaking down of the family structure so that the women and men are available for employment purposes only. They become really the human resources, not the humans. So where do you think this, historically speaking, this family structure is being attacked, and now the governments are attacking it because they want to be the center of attraction now for everyone? So where this, historically speaking, where do you see it coming from?
I think it depends on who's in power as well, because when you have when you have political parties who believe in family versus government, it changes a little bit, and that I think that creates some instability in a way. For me, here locally, you see uh, the Democrat Party, where it's welfare. Oh yes, girl, you're boss woman. You're this, you're that, and it's great to push women, elevate them. Uh, not to the point where you're putting down men. And I think that's been a big issue for me as a masculine man. Now they say, oh, that's toxic masculinity. I'm like, that hurts the family structure when you have weak men as opposed to strong men. Uh, our cultures, we respect strong men, uh, and I think that's something that's been. It goes also to the root. It's the simple things. Always, it's the simple things, and you have a party in control that wants control. It's a control freak party, basically, where they want to be in charge of what light bulbs you have in your house, everything. What type of toilet does it low? Is it low flush toilet? It's an intrusive party that wants to meddle in all your affairs. And you have the other one where it's more traditional values, the values that if we go through millennia, there's two genders, there's marriages between one man and one woman. It's a keep it simple party in a way, and that's why it resonates with most complete families.
No, the World Economic Forum has certainly begun to play a larger role in defining day-to-day lives of everybody. It's like a,
Yes.
it's like a big sermon center, and I think it is they are still meeting, or this meeting is over in Davos, and regularly they are passing dictates like any church would do, and then what should be human life should be, or a should be there. I'm not against any religion or for religion, but I'm just saying that the point is that there is a quasi global body which has nothing, no stakes in anything,
Yeah.
but all the influential people go there and talk about big things, and primarily attacking a unit known as family. How do you see that?
You know, as government gets further and further away from the people, it's when it becomes most dangerous. Um, One of the beauties of the genius of the founders of creating a representative republic is where you have the power closest to the people. In theory, that's the best way because you can hold your representatives accountable. Um, Whereas if it's try finding someone who's in Davos to represent your best interest, the people who go there are just so detached from reality of how many jets land in Davos, and then they're teaching us about climate change, which has become like a cult. The climate change, as if mankind has a role, a big role in what the temperature is going to be. Try negotiating with the volcano, try negotiating with Mother Nature, and see how that goes. It's a cult that they preach here at Davos, and climate change. It's, I don't know.
In any good society, the purpose of university is to inculcate spiritual values and provide values. Or nowadays the education has all commercialized, I mean, we all went to good schools and colleges, and we all know. But today's education, even though we did not understand what we were studying at that time, but generally, like, we did pass out, okay, we are graduates. But now when you go back to the academics, and I interact with them all the time, and this is partly live show in many universities right now, live. And when we go there in academic world, I mean, crazy, crazy thoughts are being discussed. Crazy thoughts, like the gender segregation, defining new genders, and coming back to your first point, attacking the family structure. We don't see the examples in front of our eyes. See China, they did one child policy. What is happening now? It's a chaos.
Mhm.
Japan has a negative population growth.
Yes.
Europe has negative population growth. And US actually, if you remove the immigrants, has actually a negative population growth also.
Yeah.
So so what do you have to say on the academics version, what they're creating new future for a society?
Sometimes what I see is when the people have the most degrees, it's a lot of degrees but no temperature. you,
That's a good one.
you lose a lot of common sense, because it's a top-down system.
That's right.
Where you're not allowed to think for yourself. I went to kinder to 12 in Mexico, to private Catholic school. And then I come here to a godless school, basically, far left. And I didn't know at the time why I was so miserable in college. And I didn't pick it up until later. Like, they're pushing an idea that is so opposite to all my traditional values that I grew up with. And I really admired for example, the Christian kids who faced the teachers and professors and said, no, that's wrong. And I'm here quiet. This was at the time my second language, trying to learn, but their values were uncorrupted. And I really admired them because they defended their values against teachers, professors who had a worldview that was not consistent with reality.
True. I mean, same thing happens with an Indian kid. Like, he is growing up in a Hindu tradition, which is very family oriented and very spiritual in nature. Yoga is very important part of it. But when they go to the schools and colleges, they turn out to be jerks after that.
Yeah, the first family reunion, when kids go to school and they come back for the first time, the parents are like, "Who is this kid? This is not the young man or young lady that I raised."
That's right.
And it seems like the brainwash starts now. They're trying to start it earlier with the critical race theory, with pushing the gender insanity that they're trying to put. I'm so glad there's governors like Governor DeSantis in Florida who said, no, you're not going to talk gender and race insanity to little children. This is absurd. And they're trying to get to the children sooner and sooner. And that's why the worst cancer here in America is the public school system. And I get criticized for saying that, but take your children out of public school, homeschool them, or send them to private school. And if not, get really involved in the decisions made at the public school. We need parents to get really involved in the education of their children and not just sending them, oh, here you go, school. form and mold this individual. That like we see it in the school shootings. None of the school shootings have happened at a private school.
I mean, good points you raised, and you made a couple of points which lead to further discussion. Now, I will not touch upon CRT for the time being because it's a different topic altogether. But
Yes.
on this one, I'll just focus on the family, which you raised the first issue, which I think is the most important one, and the education standards. Like if you compare the education of an average Indian student or Chinese student, Indian education system is a little better than the Chinese also, because there is a strong pressure on the child to explore things and compete so that they can come out golden. It's like if you want to make a diamond expensive or more valuable, you polish it and then it becomes gold. Like you have. You came from Mexico, you polished yourself, and you're little above the average American in terms of intellectual thought and life as well. So
Okay.
the one question comes to the mind here is the the in the when the academic systems, they denounce a or promote a smaller family. What are the pitfalls of a smaller family, according to you?
Uh, it's the children have less life experiences to draw from. For example, if I have my father and my mom, okay, I can learn from them. But here's grandpa, here's grandmother, here's an uncle. There's more wisdom that gets passed on to the kids when you have more of an extended family, more points of view. That the more you know, the more you can apply logic. Okay, so this worked for my uncle, this worked for my grandpa, this worked for my father, and you have more wisdom uh, for children when you can see different points of view, but always having the children's best interest. Because, for example, I may have a different point of view for my nephews than their father, but I'm always going to have the best interest of my nephews or my niece, and that's something that we lose sometimes when you have families detached, separated, and smaller, uh, not not as good, the best interest of the children. When you make the TV or now the big media as basically the babysitter for the kids, when you see all the garbage that is being pushed to kids on regular TV when they're cartoons, uh, that becomes a big issue.
You know, the another thing is the quality of food, because when you have broken small families, then people have to rely on a lot of junk food, which is one of the major causes, or I think, of the mental diseases also. When you have joint families, then you can cook things and share, and
Okay.
each one doing a little bit, and the house runs more smoothly, and the food is the children are taken care nutrition wise also. So what do you have to say on that? Because that's also part of the joint families, right?
Yeah, when you buy all the processed foods and you're looking at the ingredients, uh, you say, "Would I eat?" And then just insert all the chemicals that come in the processed foods and how children react to certain chemicals. It does play a big role, and that's why the wisdom of uh, generation and generation and generation of wisdom and common sense that we learn from families, and they may not know how to uh, the most advanced uh, education. They may not have the most advanced education sometimes, but the common sense is being lost. That's why I say a lot of times, yeah, lots of degrees, but no temperature.
That's a good one. Lots of degrees, no temperature. Now, coming back to the issue here, because one of the things which comes to the recently, all the happenings on gun shootings and other places, we all saw broken families, bad
Mhm.
nutrition, and 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 insufficient education. Three root causes. But it's a fashion to blame the car for an accident instead of the driver. You know,
Mhm.
driver is the one who is driving the car. Now, again, I see all the discussions in the country, whether it's academic and whether it's a professional discussions, only focusing on the symptoms, doesn't touching the root cause at all. And which you highlighted in the straight answer you gave, family is the biggest thing that you have. Now, what can be the solution to this problem? This is a pandemic. This is a real pandemic.
I think the solution is good people getting involved in politics, uh, getting involved in defending the traditional values that make society run. People need to get involved in politics. I think, and in one way or another, either donating and helping a campaign that shares the traditional values that you have, being a candidate, uh, and, but we need to take the power away from this evil people who are trying to run and ruin our lives, ruin our values. Uh, I would say politics is difficult, and we shouldn't leave politics to the politicians. We need more regular people getting involved.
The entry barriers are so high. Like people like me won't be able to even pass the passing marks. Even if you want to do that. So we stay outside and try to promote good values so that we can influence, create new people who can be the leaders. Not every, it's
Yes.
not a cup of everyone. So, my work is mostly in education and this
Mhm.
area where we don't want to cross that line. Now, people like you who have crossed the line and you are involved in both sides, you're
Yes.
educating as well as on the other side. Now, what do you think is like the when we talk about the mental issues everywhere, and people see and they are scared of the future, and then they make wrong decisions, but there is no training given how to become peaceful and happy in your own life. That training is not there in any campuses. Like if you
Mhm.
go to Eastern societies like the Southeast Asia and other places, a huge training is given to control the mind. But there is no such training in the US, which has a maximum immigrants from that area and growing, but no such training in the curriculums. What do you think?
Also, another thing is over here, it's you have a little issue. Oh, here's a pill for this. Here's a pill for that. Here's a pill for that. And without addressing the issues, let's sit down, let's talk. Bring your parents. Uh, but having that conversation, getting to the root of the issue, as opposed to trying to cover every issue with, oh, there's a pill for that. Take a pill for this. Uh, the mental aspect, uh, it just it snowballs when there's no father in the house, like we saw here with the latest Ubalde shooting. My For me, it's whenever something bad happens, my first question is, where's the father? Where's the parents? And from this latest shooting we had, the gentleman who monster uh, living with their grandparents. Grandparents are supposed to spoil us, not raise us. The mother was living with a boyfriend, and where's the father? And psychological issues. That here's a pill for everything, but the issue never gets resolved. And that's what happens when families break down.
It's a pill pandemic.
Yes, it's a pandemic.
Pandemic. That's right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Hector, for coming on the show. And it was a short
Thank you.
one, but you gave us many pointers for further discussions. And
Thank you.
for people who are watching the show, do comment on the video and let us know your feedback. And I'll take your questions on the YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you.